Hi, hopefully everyone can see my screen. So I'm Vicky Chester and I'm going to give a short presentation about what my career is as a software engineer. I'm going to talk about my career so far, what I do day to day, and the stuff I love about being a software engineer. So it all started a very long time ago, back in 2004, when I graduated from Lancaster University. I'd originally gone there to study biochemistry, but I'd taken computer science as a minor and ended up finding that much more interesting. While I was at uni, I mainly worked with C, which is a very low-level language, and Java, which at that time was a new and exciting language. Once I graduated university, my first job was at a company called Ultra Electronics, where I was hired as a C++ developer. I'm not sure how familiar any of you are with C++, but it's both terrifically useful and terrifically complicated in equal measure. Because of that, I think that when they hired me, the rest of the team expected someone like this to turn up. Unfortunately for them, this is what they got instead. I've still not completely grown out of my goth phase, despite being 37. I worked for Ultra Electronics for 14 years, and during my time there, I developed applications to manage airports. As Ultra Electronics was a fairly small company, the software engineers there took on multiple roles, including testing, training end users, writing documentation, and site installation. The great thing was that through this role, I traveled quite a lot and I got to visit many different countries around the world, which I'd never been to before. This map shows the airports around the world who are running my software right now. The best one for me was doing installation and training in JFK Terminal 4. And for that, I got to spend a month in New York. However, you could really be sent anywhere, and I once got sent to Canada for 2 weeks in the middle of January when it was minus 25 degrees. Despite many years of pleading, I've still managed to never get a project in Japan. Here's a really terrible photo of me working hard in Brazil. We'd gone to Belo Horizonte in Brazil to install new software just before the Olympics in 2016. My job whilst I was out there was to support users whilst they got used to the new system. So whilst it looks like I'm chilling, I've actually been at the airport since 4 a.m. for the first scheduled flight. This is the look of a woman running on coffee. Just over a year ago, I decided I'd been doing the same stuff for too long and I really needed to do something different. I thought about the different options in Manchester and I really didn't want to be stuck doing the same things all the time, so I joined BJSS as a consultant software engineer. One of the benefits for working for a consultancy is that you can get assigned to a really wide variety of projects. Currently, I'm working for Co-op Digital, and we're helping to develop an app which allows you to order your medication and get it delivered instead of having to go into a pharmacy. My part of the system, the part which talks to the GPs, is written in C# and .NET. It's been really rewarding to work on during COVID. Our orders have rose by a massive 400% since the start of lockdown, so we've really seen it help people. We've also really made a big difference to the staff working in the pharmacy, helping them to manage the huge increase in volume of orders. 4 months ago, I also became a squad lead. In this role, I look after a group of employees in BJSS and help with their career and well-being. It's more of a management role than my usual engineering role, so it was a huge change for me, especially taking on the role in the middle of lockdown when everyone's been so anxious. Initially, I didn't think that would be suitable, as I'm quite an introverted person, despite giving a presentation to 100 people about my career. So I decided to take a chance and go for it, and now I'm really enjoying it. Definitely, if you're interested in something, I'd really recommend trying it out, even if you don't think you have all the necessary skills at the moment. I still have quite a lot to learn about being a squad lead, but my fellow squad leads have been really supportive, and BJSS is providing training to help me adjust to the new role. Day to day as a software engineer, my work doesn't always involve much coding. When I was at university, a lot of the focus was on writing the most perfect code that you could. However, when working as a software engineer, your main priority is to write code which helps someone solve a problem. So my day-to-day actually involves a lot of designing and planning with the help of business analysts and delivery managers before any coding takes place. Once I've written the code, it then needs to be reviewed by other engineers and approved by a quality analyst or test engineer. Throughout the day, I also get a lot of requests for help, either from patients ordering medication or from the staff in the pharmacy warehouse who are using our system. While it can feel a bit like this guy in the bottom right here when it all goes wrong, it's also really interesting to figure out what happened, and you feel like a genius once you fixed it. You can't have a presentation without a graph, so this one represents what I think I do during a day. I think coding itself maybe only takes about 30% of my time. I've left off getting coffee, as that would be about 50%. What we call soft skills, those abilities which don't directly relate to technical aspects, such as the ability to mentor, communication skills, empathy, etc., are actually incredibly important traits for software engineers to have, and have impact on all of these areas here in my diagram. When I think back to starting my software engineering career, there's a couple of things I wish I could have known. Sadly, software is still an industry dominated by men, and there are still companies who don't acknowledge the problem this creates. When I left university, I was kind of the mindset that I'd just go into work and prove all those guys wrong, which, to be fair, I did. But constantly working in this kind of environment can be an uphill struggle and quite exhausting. When I interviewed for my current position at BJSS, I was waiting in the lobby for my interviewers, watching everyone leave the building at the end of the day, and I was really impressed to see loads of BAME and female engineers. My first BJSS team had 2 lesbians, 1 Indian guy, a British Indian guy, and a lone single straight white man. Really completely different from the world of IT I'd started in. This different environment I was now working in meant that I never felt like I had to prove myself and my abilities. I could just turn up, do my work, and concentrate on what was most important. Next, when working as a software engineer, or when you're studying, you're not doing so as a representative from the nation of women developers. You're there on your own merit. In the past, I've worked in environments where I've been the only female developer in a team of 50, and I really felt the pressure to perform constantly to a high standard, as if me making a mistake would bring out female developers into disrepute, instead of just being a reflection on my abilities. Working in a company like BJSS, where diversity is valued like this, relieves this pressure, and honestly, I enjoy my work so much more. Mistakes will definitely be part of your life as a software engineer. Even the best engineers I've worked with have made mistakes, and without a doubt, you'll make mistakes, and everyone around you will also make mistakes. It's really important to know that no one makes them intentionally, and to be kind to yourself and others when they happen. It's no reflection on their ability. One of the first changes I worked on when I was assigned to co-op was to change the database technology they were using, changing it from SQL Server to Postgres, which was a huge piece of work involving moving sensitive patient data around. I'd done so much work, repeatedly trialed moving the data between databases, and it was all working perfectly. On the day of the release, our test engineer was running through some basic tests and found a bug on the new version where you couldn't search for a patient by the patient name, something which is used on every order the pharmacists deal with. I'd done all this work only to be caught out by this bug I hadn't thought to check. I was really gutted. The team could have really easily been annoyed at me missing something like that, but they weren't. They knew that I wouldn't have done it on purpose. And so we worked together to find a fix so that the product could be released the next day. You should also know that it's okay to ask for help if you're stuck, and that includes Google. No engineer knows everything, and if someone claims to, you should be very suspicious. This is something I found difficult my whole career, as I don't want to appear like an idiot by asking a stupid question, but with only a few exceptions, most engineers are friendly and helpful. Lastly, it's okay if you do live, breathe, and eat computing, but it's not necessary. I like to keep up to date by going to tech meetups after work, as there's normally free beer and pizza. I also listen to podcasts in the car. Out of work, I love dressmaking, playing video games, watching films. I have plenty of other commitments, so I don't really generally code as a hobby. Just get some water through. I just wanted to finish up with some of the things I love about being a software engineer. I really love how flexible the work is. Since the start of lockdown, most of us have been able to work from home really easily, but even before lockdown, flexi time and working from home were quite common. At BJSS, we have multiple offices across the country and around the world, so working from another office is also an option. It's also a career where you can work in multiple industries. At the moment, I'm working in healthcare, but I've previously worked in civil aviation, and we have employees at BJSS who work in lots of other sectors like finance, government, and even television. It's an ever-evolving career too, not only in terms of technology, but also in workplace culture. I've been working in IT for just over 15 years now, and I've seen huge shifts in support for diversity and inclusion, mental health support, and work-life balance. Also, the pay's not bad either. A graduate software engineer's starting salary can be 20 to 25k. The main one for me, however, is problem solving, as I really like working out a puzzle. Oftentimes, the software you write will be interacting with a lot of other pieces of software written by other people, so it can be a puzzle to figure out what on earth is happening when something goes wrong. It's also very satisfying when you see that your code you've written is helping someone else. I recently worked on a change to allow users of the Co-op Health app to order medicine for other people in their family. We've had this feature request for a while, often from older users who share a mobile phone, or from carers who are looking after someone else in their family. Now that feature is live, we're starting to see app reviews and user feedback about how much it's helping them. So it's really satisfying with all the hours of work that went into setting it up. Also, seeing your code that you've worked out there in the world has given me a huge sense of pride. Last year when it was easy to go on holiday, I transferred through Geneva Airport, and looking at the flight information board, I nerded out a bit, going I wrote that. My partner wasn't very impressed, a bit embarrassed. To me, though, I've not always been the most confident person, and that was proof of what a long way I'd come and what I could achieve. I think there's very few other jobs where you can have that kind of impact. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much for listening to the presentation.